For 6 days, the greatest king the world had ever seen lay dead in a palace in Babylon. Outside, the desert heat was sweltering, yet inside the royal chambers, something impossible was happening. While the empire held its breath, the body of the conqueror refused to change. No decay, no odor, and no sign of the grave. While his generals fought over his empire and his crown, his body stayed fresh. To the Greeks, this wasn't a medical anomaly, it was a miracle. It was the ultimate proof that Alexander wasn't just a man, but a living god whose flesh was divine. But the truth hidden beneath that skin was far more terrifying. Modern science has a much darker theory for this cold case, one that suggests Alexander didn't die on that 6th day. He was just paralyzed. He might have been staring at the ceiling, hearing his generals' voices and feeling the heat of the room, while being completely unable to move a single muscle. To understand how it ended, we have to look at the man. Alexander was a king who never truly rested. He slept with a dagger and a copy of the Iliad under his pillow, obsessed with the heroes of old. He wasn't just building an empire. He was trying to outrun mortality itself, pushing his body to the absolute breaking point. Then came the turning point, the death of Hephaestion, Alexander's closest companion, his general, and his rumored lover. When he died, the king's grief was violent and erratic. He ordered the doctor executed, banned all music, and began a spiral of drinking and paranoia that set the stage for his own mysterious end. The end began at a massive party in Babylon. Alexander was challenged to drain the bowl of Hercules, a massive vessel filled with 6 liters of unmixed wine. He took the challenge, but as he finished, he let out a scream of pure agony as if a spear had been driven through his back. He collapsed and never walked again. For 11 days, the king withered. He lost his voice, then his ability to move his limbs. By the end, he could only communicate with his eyes. He watched his soldiers weep, he watched his generals plot, and he watched his own power slip away while he lay trapped in a silent, living prison. On the 12th day, they declared him dead. But forensic experts today believe he was suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome. His breathing would have been so shallow that the doctors of 323 BC couldn't detect it. To them, he looked dead. To him, the world was simply becoming a tomb he couldn't escape. Imagine the horror of the next few days. Alexander would have heard the wailing of his army. He would have felt the embalmer's hands on his skin as they began to wash and prepare him. He was the man who conquered the world, only to be buried alive because his body had become his own cage. Some still say it was murder, a slow-acting poison derived from the river Styx, or perhaps a plot by those who feared his growing madness. Whether it was a disease or a dagger, the miracle of his non-decaying body wasn't divine. It was the tragic proof of a man who was still alive when the world said he was gone. His final words were as chaotic as his life. When asked to whom he left his empire, he whispered, "To the strongest." It was a curse that triggered 40 years of civil war, tearing apart everything he had built. He died as he lived, leaving a trail of fire and questions that we are still trying to answer today. Today, the location of his tomb is the ultimate cold case. It was moved, hidden, and eventually lost to time beneath the streets of Alexandria. Many have searched, but the king remains hidden, perhaps finally finding the peace that he never allowed himself while he was breathing. Alexander the Great was a man of anomalies, a king who claimed to be a god, a warrior who feared no man, but a human who was ultimately betrayed by his own biology. His story isn't just about conquest. It's a reminder that the line between a miracle and a nightmare is razor thin. He conquered the known world, but he couldn't conquer his own end. If you want to see more ancient cold cases and the bizarre secrets of history, make sure to subscribe to DYK Vault. The past isn't dead, it's just waiting to be dug up. I'm Ray, and we'll see you in the next vault.